Hi and welcome to the Netti V product training. Netti V is Netti's latest development in the field of multifunctional wheelchairs, and they've really thought of everything here. In the following, I would like to show you who the V is suitable for and what makes it so special. Let's start with the different versions of the V. They all have one thing in common, and that's a 30-degree tilt of the seat and an additional 35-degree back angle adjustment. Both are supported by gas pressure springs and biomechanically optimized with low shear forces when adjusting the backrest angle. Let's take a look at the individual variants. When we compare the V and the V all-round, those are the two chairs on the left of that slide. They differ mainly in the operation of the tilt and back angle adjustment. On the V, this is done using levers on the push handles, while on the V all-round, operating levers are mounted on the armrests so that the user can operate them themselves. The all-round is therefore more suitable for active, independent users. On the Netti V EL, the tilt, back angle adjustment and the angle adjustment of the leg supports is controlled by electric actuators. This can be useful if the user or caregiver is unable to apply the force required for operation. And then, last but not least, there's the Netti V as a base, which means it's a base for seat shells, molded seats, or individual seat assemblies. Design and function are identical with the other versions of the V, but there is no seat or backrest upholstery mounted. Instead, an additional crossbar on the backrest facilitates the individual attachment of seat shells. 16-inch wheels are fitted as a standard, but larger wheels up to 24-inch can also be selected. Now, what is so special about the V? It is very versatile and super flexible. It can be quickly and easily adapted to different users or changing requirements as the patient's condition progresses. Let's start with an active user. They will value a seating position that gives them a good access to the push rims so that they can propel the wheelchair as efficiently as possible themselves. This requires an adjusted seat height and an active center of gravity to position the user so that they can use the push rims as effectively as possible. An actively adjusted center of gravity also optimizes weight distribution of the wheelchair and therefore lowers rolling resistance. Both of these factors together, seat height, correct seat height, and active center of gravity, mean that the wheelchair can be propelled with significantly less effort, which is ideal for an active users. However, in the case of progressive diseases such as multiple sclerosis or ALS, requirements can change quickly. Progressive paralysis can quickly cause the necessary strength to decline, and the user may switch to foot propulsion of the wheelchair. Foot propelling the wheelchair requires a lower seat height so that you can reach the floor with your feet, and also makes it necessary to adjust a more stable, less tippy center of gravity. And worst case, it might even require assistance from an accompanying person. In later stages of progressive diseases, the user may no longer be able to propel the wheelchair himself at all and will need to be pushed by an attendant at all times. Now it may again be advantageous to raise the seat height for a better overview and to put the user on eye level with his surroundings. It might as well be a good idea to shift the center of gravity back toward an active position again to make it easier for the attendant to push the chair, because it still lowers the rolling resistance of the chair significantly, and As a side effect, it creates more space for the attendant's feet and makes it easier to push the chair. And with an active center of gravity, there's more weight of the user on the rear wheels, and that makes it even easier to tilt the chair for an attendant. Overall, this adjustability and flexibility enables a long time of usage. Netti V adapts and does not need to be replaced by other chairs or aids. This also reduces the total cost of ownership for the Netti V. But how does the Netti V achieve this flexibility? Let's start with the seat height adjustment. This is very important, especially for multifunctional wheelchairs, and even more important when a molded seat or an individual seat shell should be fitted to the chair. With 24-inch wheels and 7-inch caster wheels, we can achieve a seat height of 386 to 486 millimeter on the Netti V. That means we already have 100 millimeter of adjustability when it comes to the seat height. When we vary the wheel size, we have the possibility to choose from wheels between 16 and 24 inch. It's even possible to achieve a total range of the seat height ranging from 345 to 400 to 540 millimeters, which is an adjustment range of almost 170 millimeters. This makes it possible to find the optimal position for all users and types of use. The seat height of the Netti V is primarily adjusted using a patented adjustment mechanism in the frame. After loosening 4 screws on each side, the central support tube of the frame can be telescoped by a total of 70 millimeters. This is quick and easy, and there are no further adjustments such as fork angle or brake position necessary afterwards. In addition, there's a possibility to vary the wheel mount in 2 positions. So there's 2 positions to mount the rear wheels, one higher, one lower position, and this allows for an additional 30 millimeters of adjustment. So far, everything is independent of the wheel size. Of course, seat height can now be varied even further depending on size of the drive wheels. But that's not the only adjustment which can be done quick and easy. There are many other adjustment options, such as, for example, the center of gravity. So why is it so important that the center of gravity can be adjusted on a wheelchair? Because the center of gravity is a key factor when it comes to the efficiency of propulsion and also when pushing a wheelchair. The center of gravity is usually adjusted by moving the wheels of the wheelchair horizontally forwards and backwards. If the wheels are further to the back, the wheelchair is in a what we call passive position. That means it's very stable. It's not tippy at all. But this has major disadvantages regarding position of the user. And when we start with the hand rims, it's obvious when the wheels are further to the back, the hand rims are further behind the user's shoulders, and access to the hand rim is less ergonomic. In addition to that, more weight is now being placed on the wheelchair's caster wheels. Those are very small wheels, or rather small wheels, so they have a very high rolling resistance due to their small size. In summary, one could say that the wheelchair is more stable in a passive position, but it's significantly harder to propel or push because A, you cannot reach the hand rims properly, and B, rolling resistance is much higher. Active users therefore prefer a more active wheel position. They prefer having the wheels further forward, which means they have better access to the hand rims. They shift more weight on the rear wheels. Rear wheels have a significantly lower rolling resistance, so the chair rolls much better. There's less effort to propulse the chair. reduce stability of the chair because it can become more tippy to the rear, can then be compensated by using anti-tip wheels. With a multifunctional wheelchairs, there is another important thing to consider. The more active the center of gravity, that means the more weight has been shifted to the rear of the chair. And the more weight on the rear of the chair, the easier it will be to tilt the chair. The Netti V offers several options for adjusting the center of gravity. The first and most obvious option is that the wheels can be moved horizontally on the frame. They are mounted to kind of a slide, which can be slided forwards or rearwards on the frame tubes. And you have a range of adjustment of 110 millimeters here. This can also be done quickly and easily by just loosening a couple of screws on each side of the chair and then push those slides forwards or backwards. However, position of the wheel locks must be readjusted after this adjustment. Furthermore, on the 5, there's the possibility to move the entire seat unit forwards or backwards on the frame. There's a total range of 65 millimeters for this adjustment, and this allows center of gravity to be adjusted without affecting the wheelbase of the wheelchair. The backrest, and that's the third option here, the backrest can be mounted in 2 positions as well, which also affects the center of gravity, because when the backrest is mounted further to the rear, the user will sit more to the rear and will shift more weight on the rear wheels. Even though this is primarily intended for adjusting seat depth of the 5, it can also be used to adjust the center of gravity. So you have 3 options to adjust center of gravity on the Netti V. Here again, the 5 offers a high degree of flexibility when it comes to adaptability and when it comes to enabling it to be tailored to the user's needs. On this slide, we can see all adjustments at a glance. We already talked about seat height and center of gravity adjustments, but of course the seat width is adjustable as well in 4 steps, and the seat depth can be adjusted over a range of 175 millimeters. In addition, there is the option of further reducing the seat width using additional padding, which can be ordered on the order form. And when you use that additional padding, seat width can be reduced to a minimum of 300 millimeters, which is already in the range of juvenile users. A wide range of accessories is also available for the Netti V: cushions, seating systems, harnesses, therapy tables, and even solutions and mounts for ventilation systems. Everything can be selected directly on the order form. And by the way, the Netti V can also compensate for user asymmetries. To do so, the back tubes can be adjusted independently of each other, so that the backrest tapers or widens upwards on one or both sides. The headrest can also be moved to both sides. There's a horizontal support on the backrest, and it's possible to slide the headrest from the left side to the right side. And of course, the leg supports can be telescoped individual laterally. That means you can telescope them to the sides, on both sides or on one side, to provide unilateral or bilateral abduction. The Netti V also offers Netti's proprietary dynamic functions for leg supports, backrest, and headrest, which can protect the user against injury and the wheelchair against damage. In case of severe spasticity, parts can move with the spasticity thanks to gas pressure dampers. In the case of an extensor spasticity, for example, the user pushes against the backrest. The backrest will then move backwards, the leg supports swing upwards and lengthen at the same time. The gas pressure dampers allow all components to move without reaching a stop. This prevents counter pressure from developing, and without counter pressure, no damaging forces can act on the user or the wheelchair. The user will not be shifted in the wheelchair. He will not move in the wheelchair during the spastics, meaning he has not to be repositioned after the spastics and constantly. This will furthermore reduce skin damage by shear forces while sliding over the seat. Our experience also shows that spasticity subsides more quickly when dynamic components are used and can even be reduced overall after prolonged use. Costly repairs of headrests, backrests, and footrests on the wheelchair can be avoided. This means few repairs, longer service life, and lower cost over the lifetime of the wheelchair. All dynamic components can, by the way, be configured directly on the order form when you order a Netti V. Finally, here's an overview of the technical data for the Netti V. It might be important to note that the Netti V is approved for a maximum user weight of 136 kilo and is also approved as a seat for transporting the user in a vehicle. If you need further information or order forms, you will find all information on the Netti V and other Netti products on the Netti homepage, mynetti.com/wheelchair/Netti-V/. So that's about it for our quick overview on the Netti V. Thank you all for listening.